I have a lot of people ask me how I write my scripts, and I really never know exactly, precisely how to explain how I do it. But I kind of just gave it some thought and realized there's really only 4 types of shorts, and I'm probably missing a bunch. But essentially, you've got what-if videos, so basically like what Zach D Films does. You've got talking head videos, which normally people are sharing information. You have gameplay videos and clips, which obviously we can't talk about how to write a script for a gameplay clip or a funny moment. But there are ways you can start the clip that you need to be aware of. And then you have gameplay voiceovers like Joey Jock. The most important part about all of these is that you start with the most interesting part of the short. A lot of people will post a short and they think that a short needs context in the beginning before you get to the actual meat. But it's actually, and it's really hard to train yourself this way, it's actually completely flip-flopped. What you actually have to do is put the most interesting part in the beginning and then put all of the context at the end. So let's do like a what-if video. So obviously a what-if video, this is pretty self-explanatory. I mean, obviously, that's how you start the video. So for the what-if video, let's make the example. We're going to make a what-if video about what if Starbucks was never invented. So this is our what-if video. What if Starbucks was never invented? And we'll kind of just write a hook here. The first thing I want to think about when I'm thinking about writing a video, a what-if video about what if Starbucks was never invented, obviously we want to pose the question in a really interesting way. And we'll kind of do 2 types of what if videos here, but so to pose the question. So I just kind of wrote the first what if here. Starbucks is a conglomerate selling gallons of coffee every day. But what if they had never existed? Firstly, the world would have naturally found a replacement, but there are things that would never be the same. The concept of a cake pop would have been almost foreign or virtually unpopular. So obviously this is just I'm pulling shit out of my ass. This is the only thing I can think about. I mean, I don't love Starbucks, but I know that they basically put cake pops on the map. I'm just kind of going into stuff, but there's a way you can pose the question by stating the massive point. Starbucks is massive, selling gallons of coffee every day. What if they had never existed? So that's just a creative way to say this here. What if Starbucks was never invented? Within the first 3 seconds, optimally. And I don't waste time reposing the question or saying, well, it's kind of complicated, so there's a lot of fluff that you could have used, but I just get right into it. Firstly, the world could have naturally found a replacement. So now we're in a list right now. We are in a bullet list. Firstly, the world would have naturally found a replacement, but there are things that would never be the same. And if you wanted to go on to another thing, and I'm just going to make this up because obviously I don't know shit about Starbucks, but you would optimally do your research if you want to do a short like this. So I just added another line. One thing I like to do is there's a couple of words that I really like to use. I like to use the words but, I like to use the words because. Very rare cases, I will use and. Try to try to strive away from and at any time you can, because and is just bleh. But the reason you use words like but and because is essentially, when you think back to like storytelling, like campfire stories even, the suspense of the story, what captivates a story is when the details compound each other until you finally get to the climax of the story. So but and because help to coerce you into like emotionally feeling like these details are compounding to a big moment. And is sort of a hard stop. So when you use and, it's like, oh my god, there's more. But when you use but and because, it's like, oh my god, there's more. So this is just one way to write a what if video. Now there's sometimes where it's like the details are so good that you want to save them for later. Like the whole story is interesting. So let's say like, what if Starbucks was never invented? Another way we could start this is, and obviously again, you have to kind of ignore the concept of this. I've done 0 research. I'm just thinking from a purely hypothetical standpoint. So this is a second way you can kind of start a what if. The coffee vanished from the man's hand instantaneously, which caused him to wonder who or even what took his coffee. Because if blah 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 coffee blah blah vanished, yeah, you kind of get the idea. Then you could go into this same little list format. This is interesting. The coffee vanished from the man's hand instantaneously. And this only compounds it, which seems to be a good word too, I'm realizing. Which caused him to wonder who or even what took his coffee. Who or even what. So that's kind of to start a what if video. If you want to do a what if video, or I guess I should classify this as a what if / story time video. Now to talking head videos, where I feel honestly super confident in. Talking head videos are typically a dude, some random dude at the bottom or top of the screen, just talking about exactly what's going on the top or bottom half, opposite of wherever he's at. So let's say I want to make a talking head video, and there is a news story about Donald Trump. This obviously didn't happen. Donald Trump bought every donut hole from Dunkin' Donuts. So I don't know if this would be your title, but you could make it your title if you wanted. It's almost blunt enough where it's like, damn, he bought every donut hole. I'll go into titles another day. So talking head video. So we've got our guy. You got your guy on the top. I feel like I don't need to draw this, so I'm sorry if I'm patronizing any of you, but you obviously have your vertical video, and then there's a guy right here, and then there's usually gameplay going on up here. How I would start this is Donald Trump bought every donut hole from Dunkin' Donuts. I would start this with quite literally that. A lot of the times when I'm making talking head videos, I like to start it with so. If it doesn't fit well, you can usually delete it later, but it kind of coerces the creativity out of you when you start things with so. It just feels natural. It kind of just prepares people as like, so sit down. So I like to start things with so. I could delete it later. It's not set in stone the first time you write it, obviously. So I just kind of want to give you an example, like what I'm talking about, how it compounds, and just hear the story, and you will realize how it continues to compound itself. Like, it just never ends. Like, holy shit, it never ends. But not in a way that you begrudge it, or begrudge it. Is that the right word? Sometimes I just make words up. But if you understand what I mean, then that's all that matters. So Donald Trump actually entered a Dunkin' Donuts with no security in a regular white sedan to buy donuts. But he didn't just buy one or two, he actually bought the entire store, which unfortunately caused the store to shut down for the day. Well, you think that he would hoard them for himself, blah, blah, blah. You get the idea, you know? So that's kind of how you do talking head videos there. Very easy. I like those the most. I find them to be easiest. They are sort of grifty, especially when you're talking about something like this. I mean, if you're making shorts about this, I say this and I'm making shorts like this, but if you're making shorts like this, you need help. I mean, honestly, you need mental help. You are not a creative person. You may be a creative person, but this ain't it, bro. Then there's gameplay videos and clips. And while I can't write a script for you, I can explain a good hook and a bad hook. So I have two shorts here. So firstly, MLS Pokemon is a dear friend of mine. This is an old, I tried to do a really old short and one that didn't perform super well. I mean, it performs well, but it required context. Actually, so much so that it looks like Ethan Gaming gave context. This was not a bad short. Don't get me wrong. This is not a dog on MLS Pokemon. Actually, shout out MLS Pokemon because he's awesome, bro. But I need to use him as an example here because there are two types of gameplay videos, and this, I'll just let you watch this real quick.
Right here. Just go forward. Go forward. Eve, go forward. Oh, Eve, I'm
so immediately we've watched 3 seconds of it, and not only is Eve nowhere to be found unless this is Eve, but now you're wondering to yourself, what's right here? What precisely is going on? Nobody's posing the question. Nobody's explaining what's right here. So obviously the context of this short is that Ethan here doesn't see this bridge in his game, but somehow MLS Pokemon does see the bridge. So he's saying, Eve, it's right here. At some point here, I would have added an arrow or even a circle with the words bridge, just in this specific case, because it's very important that you establish what we're looking at. Like, what is the story here? Because you can interpret this with no context. You can interpret this as like, what's here? The snow? Otherwise, the short is great. There's a lot of dead space. I would never have just all this empty space here. Like, that could have ended there. I think that you wanted to probably make this 18 seconds or something, or just didn't want to edit it too much, which there's no crime in that, in either of those things. So then then the funny part happens. And those are good edits. So you misled him, and yeah, that's the funny bit. So yeah, those are sort of some changes I would make. I would like Eve, it's right here. I just keep calling him Eve because your subtitles call him Eve. But at some point, Eve, it's right here. Sound effect, not too loud, but a sound effect with a pop in of, you know, a circle or a red arrow says bridge. People know what they're talking about. I would cut all this out. You readjusting. Not that you asked for my advice, but I'm just telling you how I do a gameplay video that is high retention. A good example of this is recently this Minecraft stream with Kai, Sanat, and Speed. You'll see in the beginning, watch how they pose this.
What you gotta do? I'm gonna do something only Minecraft players can do.
Wait, I survived that with feather falling?
You're a bug.
Immediately, we're into the action. We're in the action. We know what we're gonna do. What are you about to do? What are you about to do? He tells you exactly what's gonna go on in this short. And while he's explaining it, and this is, I mean, just luck of the draw. Normally, you know, he jumps, immediately clutches it, and then okay, so now we've gone on to Kai trying it. I'm not glazing Kai and Speed. I could care less about them, but it's just the editors. That's funny because I'm not gonna explain the joke. But yeah, so I mean, it's like there's obviously things to look for in this short as well. There's dead space you can only wish could be removed here, but this sort of adds suspense, so I wouldn't remove that. And so he actually added, which is neat, is that this guy, after the incident happened, well, not only did he change the vibe entirely at the failure, but he also posed another inquisition at the end here. Like, holy shit, something you could have not noticed is, wow, he did survive that without, or did he say with feather falling? I don't know. Yeah, with feather falling. So yeah, there's just ways you can do gameplay videos, and I try to think of good examples and stuff. MLS, you're a goat. I just wanted to use an example that people could understand. So that kind of takes us back to gameplay voiceovers, which this one is a little bit different because let's say you are a good gamer. You're a good speedrunner. So we're just going to call it Skip the Watermelon. It's not the most creative title in the world, but we're just going to call it Skip the Watermelon. A good way to start this is like a gameplay video like this is normally. So this one I kind of, so this is kind of like a gameplay voiceover, and I'll kind of analyze it. Normally you find this watermelon at the top of a hill and carefully roll it to this grinder to collect this shine sprite. But can we get it without a watermelon? I grab a fruit, set Mario up at the perfect angle, and face pin a park. With enough patience and good timing, we'll use our hover nozzle to blah, 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 blah. You know, I'm basically just narrating what's happening. At the beginning, I explain how it works. What happened, what's the way you're supposed to do this. So this is the way you're supposed to do it. Now, if with any of these, and it doesn't matter which one, if with any of these you're using a webcam, even with this one, when you sense that you might be in the midst of making a clip, you can tell usually if you've streamed long enough, like you're like, oh shit, this is about to be a clip, or this is a clip. You can shift yourself to the camera, which is hard sometimes to look directly at the camera. Reading a script, it's even harder. Very important that you get either of these things. You can go the expensive route or you can go the cheap route. You can get an Elgato prompter, which is huge for reading scripts, but even better for having a conversation with chat, which makes for clippable moments too. The cheap version of this, which still wouldn't work for reading chat or on stream, is having a phone app and recording yourself with your phone, a prompter app on your phone. Lastly, there's an expensive way and a cheap way to get better at writing scripts. The expensive way is to take an English class or a course that's like focused more on learning words, which there are plenty of courses online as well. So you don't need to go to college and spend $500. College is ridiculous. Or the better way, honestly, in my opinion, is just go on YouTube and find some dictionary content, which the dictionary is boring as hell to read alone. But if you go on YouTube, you may find some good dictionary creators. All this to say, how can I get better at writing scripts? And the honest truth is just fucking write, dude. You just need to start writing shit. Even if you're not going to use it, it's not a waste of your time because your time is already wasteful anyways. So you really just need to start writing stuff. You'll sit in front of a script and do nothing. Just type. I mean, like, even if you're just sitting here doing this, it's better than just sitting there and doing nothing and then giving up to go play Counter-Strike 2. Just start writing. Just start typing. Get used to tapping your fingers on the keyboard. It doesn't even matter. And then eventually words will evolve into, more free-flowing. I decided to go fuck myself at the supermarket, and it went spectacular. And it's like, do that for like a month, write this just dog shit. Eventually you'll just evolve into like my trip to the supermarket went full on nuclear. Because it all really started when I decided to look at the fruits. And then you sort of like get into like, so just writing, just fucking start writing, dude. Like just start writing and stop sitting there with an empty notepad doing nothing. Just tap, tap, tap. Like, just start from ground zero. You are not above starting from ground zero and babbling like a little toddler. Like, because right now, you're just nothing. You're nothing. And if you want to be something, you gotta just do something. This is not motivation. This was not meant to be a motivational thing. It's just the reality of it. I see so many people. The reason why you even clicked on this video in the first place is likely because you just can't find yourself to write. And the problem isn't that you don't know how to write, because you know how to write. The problem is that you just don't want to. And if you don't want to, that's a whole separate issue as is. Because if you don't want to write, you either need to hire somebody to write for you or give up, because that's like 90% of being a YouTuber. The other 10% is like editing and posting. A funny thing that happens when you write is that you actually discover more words as well, and you become more verbose in your own life, using words from the dictionary that you would have never even touched initially, you know? So I hope this helps. There's a lot of rambling, but hopefully it helps. I've been rambling for about 46 minutes. Just start writing something. Put on some music and write. Blah, blah, goo, goo, gaga.